Phil, tell me about this day and what it means to you.
Well, as I said, the number one job of an elected official is to represent the concerns of the people that they represent. And this is clearly a concern of the residents of Northumberland. Many of these folks have moved to Cobourg and Port Hope underneath the belief that they would have reasonable, reliable transportation to GTA, which of course is a commerce center for our province. And by denying that through the refusing to start Route 6551, they are greatly inhibiting the ability of our local residents to conduct their business, to go to work, and to put food on the table for their family.
What do you, might be a simple question, but I mean, what do you hope this does?
Yeah, we're hoping to raise awareness. I will be today, as a little sneak preview, be challenging both the Minister of Transportation, Omar Al-Gabra, and the CEO of VIA to come out here and talk to the residents and hear their concerns. It's pretty easy to say no in Ottawa or in your corner office, but let's come out here and talk and find out what's really going on down here in Northumberland.
Hi David, I'm Bill McInell. I moved out here 16 years ago and was a weekender for 10 years, but have been here permanently. And a lot of people say, why the heck did you move out here? And I simply say, because of the train. People would say to me, well, how long does it take you to go by the train? And I said, well, Friday afternoons from Bay Street, it takes either 2 beers or a nice nap because you're tired. But it's really is a big, strong reason and a catalyst why so many of us have moved out here and enjoy the community as much as we do. So thank you, David and Phil. I'm so glad you're here and good health.
Thank you. Anybody else have a story that you would like?
I used to be the editor-in-chief of Chatelaine magazine. I grew up in Cobourg, moved to Toronto and New York City, back to Toronto, Montreal, back to Cobourg when we had kids, and I started my commute then. My husband also commutes to this day. His office is just off Bay Street. His father, my father-in-law, also commuted in the 80s and 90s to Bay Street from Cobourg. So it's been in our family a long time. I used to joke that on the commute, it was date in the morning where my husband would fall asleep, which is typical on a date. And I would get to read the paper and have my coffee. On the way home, we'd have a glass of wine, talk about our day, and be home with our kids for dinner. So it was a very important part of our day, and I'm really hoping that we'll make a difference.
The most important thing here is that Cobourg has to grow. I mean, I'm a CPA, I understand business. We have to grow, and the only way we're going to grow is if we attract younger people, younger families. And a lot of those people are professionals and they live here, but they work in Toronto. If we can't get a reliable commuter train and that thing turned over, but VIA's mandate is to supply that to us. So at some point in time, they're going to have to respect their mandate, respect us, and reinstate that train. Thanks.
Attention to the concerns of the residents, and I have to say, of all the, of course, many issues that we're facing in these challenging times, this was at the top, if not the top, of the concerns that I certainly heard in our constituency office. So I was so pleased to help organize this, along with David and several others, to get everyone out here. And what is the purpose of today? Today's purpose is to bring awareness and attention and to get Route 651 back. 651 back. I'm just going to lay out quickly, and I promise it will be quickly for those of you who know me, why I believe that we need to have Route 651 restored. Number one is economics. People, as you heard these stories, people rely on it to conduct their business, to do their work. Of course, Toronto is a commerce center for our province. Many of the folks who work here and live here in Cobourg and Port Hope depend on reasonable transportation. And you know what? What happens in the winter, guys? It snows, it gets cold. And so it's that much more challenging to get downtown. And that the gentleman who talked about his medical issues, his medical concerns about getting downtown to Toronto, that was great. That was heartfelt. I really appreciate you coming up here and talking about that. And that really shows the connections that we have, the connections why we need to get down to the GTA, whether it be for business, commerce, or in your case, healthcare down there. Secondly is environmentally. We certainly hear a lot from this federal government and the billions that they're going to be spending to fight climate change, and I applaud them for fighting climate change. But This is a simple thing, a relatively inexpensive thing that they can do to fight climate change. So why are we making climate change worse, putting more cars on the road, making it more difficult for the residents of Northumberland, Peterborough South?
So with that, I'd like to invite Deputy Warden Mandy Martin up to say a few words on why this matters. This is a whole of government, all three levels, linking arms, because you matter, this service matters. Let's restore Train 651.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for showing up. This is more than just Cobourg, more than Northumberland. We are stretching across Eastern Ontario, connecting. This is our link. This is important to us vitally, not just personally, to have a beer or to fall in love. Both very important, very important, very important. But also economically and in our future. This is who we are, and this is who we will become. I want to thank MP Lawrence and MPP Piccini very much for their support on this, your continued leadership. I am representing the municipalities from Northumberland to Kingston, urging the return of the service of this Via Train 651. And we will not be derailed. Via has reinstated almost all services across Canada following the pandemic, but has left Toronto-Kingston passengers waiting at our stations. We have no trains coming down the tracks for us. This summer, Northumberland County, we issued a survey asking people what was the reaction, where were we standing in terms of 651, the train. Over 2,800 responded. In the summertime too, by the way, please note. Thank you, and we heard you loud and clear. Based on your insights, we released this report, The Case for Getting Via Train 651 Back on Track. And our report makes it very clear. We are being impacted and we are being hit hard. Some of you are having to choose between unemployment or a costly, time-consuming commute. The Toronto to Kingston corridor is growing at a faster rate than the province, and so is our labor force. Our workers want to get to work. Businesses need our workers. Ridership is stronger than ever and will increase significantly if Train 651 returns. 96% of pre-COVID regular 651 users say that they will return. Further, 31% identified as new riders want to get on board. Readership is back, and so should Train 651 be back.
Here, here.
We need affordable, convenient, environmentally responsible transportation options. We are experiencing hardships with rising costs of fuel and costs of living. Right? Yeah. So this is a multi-generational thing.
Yes.
This is our future, and we want it.
Yeah.
We want to get to work, we want to get to school, and to access much-needed medical appointments. We can't do it without Train 651. It's time for Via Rail shareholder Transport Canada, federally, and Via Rail Canada to put passengers first by welcoming back all of the passengers, not just a select few. We are here at the train station and we're ready to get on board. It's time to welcome us all back and share collectively in the economic profit and service to our communities, not just here, not just Northumberland, all the way through east. We even connect to Ottawa sometimes.
Occasionally I have taken it.
Yeah. Let's get train 651 back. I salute your participation, your commitment, and let's get it back.
I'll explain it clearly to you. I represent people. I'm also a member of the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Organization, so I represent people today from the Wooler Road exit on the 401 all the way through to Cornwall. And we've made petitions. We have also addressed the minister in various ways. I've talked to Minister Clark as well as MP Brian Williams about this. And I also have a resident who is a director on the Via Rail board, and his name is Glenn Rainberg. And I spoke to Glenn a while ago, and he told me, of course, the reason it wasn't on is because of equipment and shortage of good equipment. So if that's the case, I can't quote how many millions of dollars you have given to Via Rail over the last year or so. So they've got lots of dollars to purchase new equipment, and they should be doing that on a regular basis, not just every now and again. And again, thank you very much for being here today, because I always believe, and people need to be treated with respect and dignity, yes, but we're stronger together. And that's exactly what we're showing here today. The strength of all of us in letting the government know just how important it is. And then the fact that we are in tune with our, with the environment and climate change. We are. Why aren't they? We know that we can travel and save dollars and save the climate and reduce the fuel consumption. We can do it, and we will do it if they get on board with us, and they need to. And we're not going to sit back and let these rails be moved. No, we're staying on them, and we're staying on track. And thank you very much again for the invitation today to be here. I do know Pete Fisher. He's a big guy. But he also is all over like a dirty shirt, And I thank him very much for all the good work he does on a regular basis. And when I started in politics in 1990, I was a member. We were a member of Northumberland County, Murray Township and Brighton. We were members. And Brighton still is, but Murray Township is now a big part of the city of Quinte West. I also am a mayor who can boast an air show every day. Yes, not many can do that. But I also know that those men and women in the military who are flying, they're going someplace in the world to make it better for that particular area, make the lives and the municipalities better. And that I'm very thankful for. And so today, again, thanks for being here and showing our strength together. We will get this done. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Their voice in a responsible way by sharing it, by bringing awareness to the issue. Like I said, it's a lot easier just to check no on a piece of paper than it is to look someone in the eye and say, no, you can't get to your medical appointment. No, you can't get to work. No, you can't do business in Toronto, right? And so the greater we raise awareness, I believe, like Jim said, we are going to get this done. We will get train 651 back. And ultimately, it won't be because of the media. Sorry, guys. It won't be because of David Piccini. It certainly won't be because of Philip Lawrence. It'll be because of you. And so I thank you in advance for getting train 651 back. David, you want to close her up?
Thank you. Just thank you. A special thank you to all of you who've taken time out of your weekend to show up here. The socioeconomic fabric of our community demands the return of train 651 at a time when our communities are growing, at a time when we need young people in this community. We need our community to grow. We need the vibrant community that is Northumberland, that is everything that moves from here out to Cornwall. We demand the return of this service, and each and every one of you are a part of that solution. So if you haven't had a chance already, sign up to stay up to date. Write a letter to Martin Landry, CEO of Via Rail. Tell your story. Write a letter to Omar Al-Gabra, the Federal Minister of Transportation. Tell your story. We will be heard. We will not go away until Via Rail restores this vital train service for our community. Let's restore train 651. And if you have a story to share and haven't had a chance, come up and share your story. Thank you for being here. Just say your name and your story.
Tell me about your story, guy.
My story is I live 100 yards from the VIA station, and I used to take it to Toronto for my clinical trial cancer appointments. And for the last 2 years I haven't, and I had surgery in December of last year, and I had to drive down to the city, take the GO train, go for my surgery, go back the very next day and hop in my car and drive myself home instead of taking the Via right back, and I would have been 100 yards walking into my apartment. And then now I just had an appointment this Tuesday. I had to drive to Oshawa, and then on October 6th I got to go for my follow-up checkup, and I got to drive again into the city and take the GO instead of the train right down to Union and one stop or a couple stops up to Queen's Park. And I was there. I was underground. I didn't have to go above ground. So that's my story. That's why I went to Streambus.
It adds one more stress that doesn't need to be added.
Oh yeah, especially after you have cancer surgery. And then the very next day they kick you out of the hospital, and I had to drive in a snowstorm coming back on December 8th. So that's my story, when it's safer taking the train right here and walking 100 yards home. So that's my story, and now for the last 2 years, I got to go back and forth to the city for my appointments, and there's no train, and it's right here. So.
Thank you. And tell me your story.
Well, I've lived in Cobourg for about 11 or 12 years, and I started working in the city of Toronto about 5 years ago, and relied on the commuter timing of the Via train 651 to get to work in the morning and be able to commute in a reasonable time and come home to my family. And without the train, it's been really difficult returning to work. There's many people, friends of mine from the train, who are in the same boat, and we try to coordinate amongst ourselves, and we're often having to go in the night before to make sure that we're there on time in the morning. Come home later than we'd like to. We're missing a lot of time with our families, and it's difficult, and it's expensive without the commuter pass to be going back and forth. And I have no intention of leaving my community here in Cobourg. I love living in Cobourg, and I have no intention of leaving my job in the city of Toronto. So I'm really hopeful that they'll hear that there is demand. I've called over the past few months to Via Rail, and they've told me the demand isn't there, and I don't believe that that's the case. So I'm really happy to see so many people here today. I hope they understand the demand is there, and that they'll bring the train back as soon as possible.
David, tell me your thoughts on today at large group.
This is incredible, the number of people who are out today to send a clear message to Via Rail that it's unacceptable that they canceled 651. We heard powerful stories from a gentleman who relies on this for life-saving cancer treatment. We heard from a young mother who relies on this and now can't spend time at home with her loved ones, with her family, because of a timely and costly commute. And, this has been incredible. Our MPs stood up and been a clear voice in the House of Commons on this. We've been fighting provincially when we've expanded, largest investment in public transit in Canadian history under Premier Ford. And it just flies in the face of that while we're expanding public transit, Via Rail is reducing their service, and it's in their mandate. So we're going to be heard. We're not going away until they restore 651.
A lot of people signed up.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, there's just signatures for days here and more in the box. People were staying up to date. It's powerful, and it's actually cool to meet people in our community that I've not met before. We're seeing people talk to each other. We saw a young boy, Malcolm, who had a cute sign saying, "My daddy depends on it." So, I mean, this is an event that's brought together people from Malcolm's age, couldn't have been older than 10, all the way up to retirees. And, it's just been powerful to hear their stories. Not ours, theirs.
Last question, all levels of government are on the same page with this, that we're here today.
Yeah, I mean, certainly locally with MP Lawrence, myself. You heard from the warden, deputy warden, you heard from mayors all on our eastern corridor here. and we're all aligned. We need Transport Canada to listen, and we need Via Rail to listen.